All right, let's get right down to it. The Western world is having a crisis, and it's having a crisis with immigration. Now, is immigration bad? No, it's a great thing when done right. And those that are immigrating need to, like, culturally blend in, not bring in a bunch of different cultures that create more conflict. But there's also a reason for that, right? I think the best demonstration of what's occurring right now in real time in our world is what's happening with Israel. France just announced that it's going to accept Palestinian refugees. All in all, that seems like a great humanitarian type of aid, right? Why is it that those countries aren't able to take in refugees that could better blend in with their style of culture? It's a lot more closer than these Western cultures. And I think there's a lot of different things happening here, right? One is that the West is going into these territories and destabilizing these things. Israel, after all, is a welfare state of the United States. I do not think that it would exist without direct involvement of the United States. Anyways, going back to Europe. So in Europe, they're having a lot of issues. You're having really strong cultures within the European different areas. Like Poland has its own culture, the Czech Republic has its own culture, Ukraine has its own culture, France has its own culture, and you're bringing in a very strong Muslim contrast or Middle Eastern type of culture that doesn't just blend in, and it causes issue. And when I sit back and think about this, I wonder if it's by design, right? Like, why did the EU, let me take a step back. The EU itself, I always thought was a very weird thing. Like, why would the United Kingdom want to have its currency on par with other European nations whose currency it couldn't hold anything to it, like when it comes to terms of value? Why would they be willing to do that? And it seems like this was just a new modern form of colonization or empire building, just the kings and queens of the old, just a new way of doing it, having control over these smaller nations. Because I can tell you personally, and of course there'll be people that argue it, and this isn't the video to argue it, but the European Union definitely didn't help the Czech Republic, and it didn't help, other smaller countries, and there's countries that have stayed out of it, like Hungary. Which is, I think, a lot smarter thing. I think there's value in those little smaller countries that have their own unique culture. I mean, culture itself is a beautiful thing, right? There's nothing against those Middle Eastern cultures. They're beautiful themselves. They create beautiful things in their own atmosphere. But when you bring them and have them clash, and that's what's going to happen, it's going to create strife and anger and just disruption and conflict that I don't think will be able to be resolved. And part of it is a necessary evil because of the guilt of what these Western nations are doing in those areas that the immigrants are coming from. But then also, you're going to have issues at home, and you're possibly doing it on purpose. Because if you destabilize those strong cultures, that unity that makes a culture strong within a nation, then you're able to divide and then conquer. Do at will whatever you would like politically. And it seems that's what's been going on, right? I mean, in Germany, or in England, if you speak against immigrants in certain ways or certain cultural values, you pay for it criminally nowadays. There's so much going on right now. It's such a fast pace. And it's scary. You have AI, and it seems and it scares the young youth that AI might replace all the basic jobs, and the youth don't know what they should be doing. And it seems that AI is going to be very intrusive in a lot of different areas of our lives. Will we be able to make a living as any sort of people or any sort of culture? How is this going to look in the future? And as this is happening, we're destabilizing the little foundations that we do have with these forced cultural immigrations that are happening that seem to be like causing tremendous conflict everywhere. And it has me thinking, what if all of this is just to destabilize us all fundamentally and completely? Because let's just say, right, that Muslims that come into countries are having kids at 5 times the rate of native people. In 10 years, that Muslim population can completely replace the old native population. But see, this goes back to what is really happening. Because the powers that be won't just let there be a Muslim unity if, let's say, in 10 years they replace a native community. There's something else happening here. and it's a destabilization. And I wonder at the end of the day if we just don't understand it yet completely because it's not illuminated right in front of us. But what if at the end of the day, all of this that's happening with the AI, with forced immigration, cultural conflicts, this like culmination of a certain group of people feeling guilty, another feeling entitled, and this hatred towards one another is some sort of spiritual battle that is brewing. And we don't quite understand what that spirituality is. And maybe we don't even understand what spirituality is itself because it's been so diluted and because of the interference of science into the human psyche and maybe replacing spirituality in the modern era. We don't see the battle that's coming. It seems like we're being set up to fight one another, right? The strategy has always been divide and conquer. But what is the goal of this conquering?